2 days to go before MPs gather at the Cape Town International Convention Centre for that first sitting of Parliament after a general election. A very important sitting. That's when those MPs will be sworn in, taking the oaths of office, but also to the election of a speaker, deputy speaker, and of course the President of the Republic of South Africa. Yesterday, the Democratic Alliance's Federal Council saying that they had unanimously endorsed a resolution affirming it would continue to negotiate with parties to form a government. Solly Malatsi is the Democratic Alliance's spokesperson. While you have issued the statement, you don't say which political parties are part of this plan to form a government. Solly, I would assume it would also feature the African National Congress, the largest party in terms of vote share in this election. Can you confirm whether the Democratic Alliance is speaking to the ANC?
Good morning, Lester, and to all your listeners. Yes, absolutely. We have had several engagements with the ANC with regards to the proposal that was announced by President Cyril Ramaphosa last week, Thursday. And those discussions began towards the end of last week and have been going on. And, by all indications, they will continue to go on until at the very least by Thursday, because on Friday we need to go into that sitting of Parliament with a clear and final position from our side, so that one, we can inform our structures, and secondly, that we can inform the rest of the country about where we stand.
What's being discussed, Solly? Take us in as much as you can of what's being discussed behind closed doors. The formation of government, who would take positions. I know that cabinet is the prerogative of the president. It's ultimately his decision. But if this is a government described as a government of national unity, parties part of this GNU would take slices of the pie. Take us into what is currently on the negotiating table.
Yeah, I mean, to date, the discussions from our side, at the very least, have been limited to having a broader framework that we at least can agree on to be the basis of any governing arrangement should we enter into it. And that has been centered around three pillars, that one being the most important aspect in our view, which is the protection and promotion of our constitutional values. And our stance in there is that we would find discomfort in being part of an arrangement that has parties that do not fully subscribe to those constitutional values or have previously shown behavior that is in contravention of that. And secondly, that all these efforts need to be get towards stability. The most important thing at this stage that our country faces is to have governance stability. And thirdly, that we need to work towards generating economic growth. And because, Lester, the complexity here is that you've got one party here being the ANC conducting negotiations with every other party on the field. It also means that, the bilaterals we are having with them also depend on how quickly on their side they are able to meet with all the other parties and when breakthroughs can happen in that regard. And that is why up to date there hasn't been any final decision in terms of what is the shape, what is the form, and what in practical terms will this government of national unity be. The negotiations up to midday yesterday had not ventured into allocation of positions and all of that stuff, because our view is you can only get to that once there is consensus on the key elements, which is the broader framework on what should be uniting us all together should we get into a governance arrangement that we are also comfortable with, and that we are aware what it implies to our structures, because it's something that we would have to live with for a longer period of the next 5 years.
Solly, are these all one-on-one meetings, bilateral meetings, or is there a point in time, maybe within the next 48 hours, where all parties who have agreed to be part of a grand coalition or a GNU will get in the same room together and collectively also make decisions?
Look, I don't know at this stage, because at this stage, the discussions from our side, I don't know about, what the other organizations have been doing, have been happening at a bilateral level. And that is what That is the basis of what we are negotiating on. But you can almost imagine that in the event that there is broad agreement or all the parties that are going to be part of this government of national unity agree, there will have to be a gathering of that sort. But to this stage, it hasn't happened, or it hasn't involved us.
Are these negotiations only pertaining to the National Assembly, or are considerations being made also for other hung provincial legislatures, KZN, Gauteng Province, the Northern Cape? Does this fall part of the basket of what is on the agenda over these discussions?
Absolutely correct. The negotiations also take into consideration the reality that in those three provinces, no party has won a majority. Therefore, whatever discussions that are taking place at a national level will definitely have an impact and a direct impact on the final composition of what governments look like in those three provinces.
Is the DA considering any leadership positions, whether it be in Parliament or whether it be as members of the President's cabinet once he is elected?
So the mandate we've given our negotiation team is go into these discussions with an open mind, expressing that we want to play a valuable role in this period so that we can be a valuable contributor in seeking governance stability for our country. I mean, there are multiple scenarios that may emerge should we be part of that agreement. But I think the clear picture will emerge by the end of Thursday, and I'll be far much more comfortable communicating on what has been finalized rather than what could happen based on inconclusive conversations at this stage.
Malatsi, really appreciate your time.